Uh-oh, the Commanders caused a little dust up this morning now. Okay. Big breaking news. The Commanders, Washington Commanders, have now fired Jack Del Rio, our defensive coordinator, and our DB's coach, Brent Vieselmeyer. We're not even going one step at a time. We was like, get them both gone, man. We're going to talk about, of course, a lot of stats in this video. How bad has this defense truly actually been? Is it all the defense's fault? Is it all Jack Del Rio or Brent Vieselmeyer's fault? Should we blame the players for a lot of it? Should we blame Rivera for a lot of it, who's still currently here? Should we blame a lot of parts of it? Martin Mayhew for the team he's put together. We're going to break down a lot of stats and how inconsistent this defense has been under Jack Del Rio, how it's just back and forth. It's actually really telling. Also, is Rivera or Josh Harris in power? Because Rivera came out with a statement first and made it sound like it was his decision, and then Josh Harris came out immediately after. It's like, no. This was my decision. Rivera had something to do with it a little bit, but nah, this was mine. It's really weird to see two completely different statements come from the Washington Commanders Twitter themselves. Like from completely different sources. That was weird. I'm like, so I'm pretty sure when the person got the Josh Harris announcement, his whole statement, he was like, oh man, I should have probably sent out the Rivera when the Rivera hurried up. That's why Rivera probably sent that to me so soon. He wanted to get out in front of this whole thing. Josh Harris was like, nah. Also, is Jack Del Rio a scapegoat? I know a lot of things are his fault, but is this just a simple move to try to win the fans back, or does Jack Del Rio very much so actually deserve to be fired, especially before the end of the season? But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release informative and opinion videos just like this one. Again, like I said, I'm releasing daily videos, so stay tuned, man. I have so many videos I need to work on. How Eugene Shin, our analytics guy that Josh Harris brought in a couple of weeks ago, how he plans to rebuild our team and his history with rebuilding teams, how successful he's been, and what positions does he prioritize. On why we're quite likely going after Brock Bowers. Also, I'm doing breakdowns on potential head coaching and definitely now defensive coordinator candidates of the future. Doing breakdowns of which players we should build around. I know we have a lot of players that it's like, man, we got to get rid of these guys. We got to move on from these guys. We got to upgrade from these guys. But there's some guys that's like, yeah, the team's bad overall, but it's not that single player's fault in certain positions. I'm going to break that down as well. I have my drafts, of course, so stay tuned for all of the content, man. And YouTube is no longer tripping, so make sure y'all support the channel in any way that you can. And without further ado, let's get it.
He's our quarterback for the 5-10 years, and I truly believe that.
Alright, so it all started with an Ian Rappaport tweet. At Rap Sheet said, a shakeup in Washington. Commanders defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio has been fired following another crushing loss, sources say. This time to the Cowboys. Ron Rivera presumably will call the defense now. Okay, so before the game even happened, Josh Harris said Ron Rivera will not be fired barring any unforeseen circumstances. And not only me, but my whole family, we were at Thanksgiving, like, what does unforeseen mean? Because there's no way you thought this butt whooping that we caught from the Cowboys was unforeseen. There's no way y'all didn't see that happening before the game happened. There's just absolutely no way. Like I said, even before the game happened, when I was talking about the whole fact that Ron Rivera will not be fired until the end of the season, basically, in my video that I came out with before the Cowboys game happened, I was talking about, like, man, like, even when fully healthy, I'm pretty sure the Cowboys are going to beat us by at least 20 points, even if both teams are fully healthy. But then at the same time, the Cowboys, even not having Trevon Diggs, is healthier than us. We have, like, so many players on IR or out or whatever, or even the guys that played were banged up. Like, you know, it was just, I don't know how y'all didn't presume that. So I'm pretty sure Josh Harris foresaw that. So that whooping that was coming. So I already knew Ron Rivera wasn't getting fired after the game because I felt like everybody should have known that game was pretty much going to go how it went. I wasn't expecting a pick six again, but then again, Bland's been doing that. I mean, he set an NFL record for most pick sixes of the season by one single player. That's ridiculous. And I have so many other stats that we're going to talk about too when I do my full breakdown of all of the crazy stats and every position group like I typically do after every game review. But I was just having Thanksgiving with the family. I didn't even get a chance to really watch the game in full, so I gotta literally go back and watch the game before I do that video. That's why I haven't done it yet. But yeah, man, like, you had to presume that we were gonna lose the game, specifically the way that we did. So I already knew Ron Rivera wasn't gone, so they picked another scapegoat. They picked Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer. They was like, nah, you go ahead and go with him, man. You go. I don't care. Typically, when you find a scapegoat, you pick one person. But Brent Vieselmeyer, this defense has been so bad, specifically the secondary. Him being a DB coach replacing Chris Harris. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They were like, bro, go ahead with him, man. Now, matter of fact, y'all might as well go ahead and take the same Uber up out of here. We'll go ahead and save money. We'll go ahead and get you gone right now. It's just absolutely crazy, man. But hey, shouts out to Ron Rivera, who will finally be uncrossing his arms on the sideline for the first time since he's been here. That's really interesting, man. Presuming that he's going to take over as defensive coordinator, that means he's going to have to call plays. That's really interesting. But yeah, man, Josh Harris, I think, was really just looking for a scapegoat because I don't think firing Jack Del Rio is going to suddenly turn this defense around. We're going to talk about Jack Del Rio and how bad the defense has been under him and what a lot of it being his fault, of course. But I hope y'all don't think that firing Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer is going to suddenly make this team stop allowing 30 points per game to end the season. I don't know if y'all have seen our schedule, but the Cowboys may not be the worst of it. We play the Dolphins next, and they're bad team eaters. We're not a good team. As long as the team is over 500, the Dolphins just suddenly get scared. It's like all of their badges go away when they play an above 500 team. But we're not above 500. We are, what, 4-8 now? Like, the Dolphins ain't scared of us coming to town, man. And then we have a bye week. You can't lose on a bye week. That's a positive. You know, everybody will catch a break, catch a breather. You know, yeah, let's take our time. Let's go ahead and get ready to lose against the Rams the next week. Play the Rams. Matthew Stafford will probably be back healthy, and that team is better than people expected. And they just beat the Seahawks, who, of course, beat us a couple of weeks ago. Then you got the Jets. I just saw a clip literally right before I started recording of Aaron Rodgers walking like it's nothing. He's more than likely going to be pretty much healthy and ready to go and whoop up on us by the time we play the Jets on December 24th, the day before Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. And then San Francisco 49ers, December 31st. That don't sound good at all, man. You just saw, again, the Seahawks, how they did us. Did you see how the 49ers did the Seahawks? We had to play two teams that beat the Seahawks recently. And the way we lost to the Seahawks, especially how unclutch it was. And then the Cowboys. Maybe we beat the Cowboys because maybe by the last week of the season, they have nothing to play for. They already have the playoff seed and stuff like that. I hope not, because winning that last game is pointless. That could be potentially taking us out of the top 5 picks that we could potentially end up having by the time we get to that game. So it's just at this point, dog, do we even want to win? Type of thing. But even if we tried to, and that's the funny thing, that's why I'm not using the word tank. I just think we're that bad. We don't have to tank, especially looking at the rest of our schedule. We probably have the most difficult stretch remaining of our schedule, starting with that Cowboys game we just had. If we couldn't beat the Giants or the Bears, who else could we beat? I don't care who you fire, who you hire, whatever. It's over with regardless. But I'm just hoping that, say we lose all of the games leading up to that Cowboys game, you might as well go ahead and lose that Cowboys game too. Again, I've been saying it for a while now. We need to be focused after that first Giants loss, especially after that second one. We need to be focused on evaluating these players more than anything else. I mean, winning, losing, whatever. But we need to start playing our younger guys more and more often. We need to see who wants to be here 2024 and beyond. If you're going to play a veteran guy, I hope it's a veteran guy that you plan on re-signing when their contracts end and things like that. We need to be literally putting players that we expect to be with this team 2024 and beyond on the field more often. The younger guys, or even if it's a veteran, a guy that you plan on keeping long term. So we'll see. By as much Kendall Fuller's playing, I'm assuming we're re-signing him, because I just don't see the point of playing them out there where you could be giving the young guys a little bit more run. I saw that we had Quan Martin one-on-one against CeeDee Lamb. It wasn't pretty, but at least he's going out there and getting meaningful snaps and like learning some stuff. So I've been in evaluation mode for weeks now, and I definitely think we need to embrace that now, man. Like, who really wants to be here moving forward, basically? But moving on, though, Ron Rivera put out a statement saying that he fired Jack Del Rio himself, right? Literal quote: "Today I relieved Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer of their duties. Today I relieved. I appreciate all that they contributed to the organization over the past 4 seasons and wish them all the best moving forward." And that is crazy, though, because Ron Rivera had to fire Sam Mills III. I know that took a piece of his heart. Firing Jack Del Rio took another piece. Ron Rivera is very, very loyal. So for him to be firing people is saying something. But wait, there's more. That man did not fire those guys, dog. That boy Josh Harris put out a statement very soon after Ron Rivera put his out at a certain point, and then Josh Harris put his out in like within 20 minutes. Like, that's crazy. He was like, no, wait. What is this I'm hearing? Ron Rivera did it. Listen to what Josh Harris said, man. "This morning, I spoke with Coach Rivera, and he recommended that the team make changes at defensive coordinator, defensive backs. I accepted those recommendations and want to thank Jack and Brent for their contributions to the Commanders. We wish them and their families well moving forward." I'm pretty sure the way both of those are worded, that Jack Del Rio did not want to do it, but Josh Harris is like, you better fire them or I fire you type of thing, or something's got to change. And again, like I already reported yesterday before the Cowboys game even happened, basically Ron Rivera and Josh Harris have this weird pinky promise where Rivera gets to at least finish the season. But hey, they never said anything about other people finishing the season. Really interesting. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I was really excited about Eric Bieniemy, and I'm hoping that he can somehow turn it around, but Eric Bieniemy's not looking very safe right now either. He's not looking like, oh man, you can't let him go. If you're looking to get like a Ben Johnson or something like that, there's no way you let Eric Bieniemy go to get him. Like, you can't lose Eric Bieniemy. Nah, we're beyond that point. Eric Bieniemy is pretty losable right now. I mean, I still feel like first year as offensive coordinator, young quarterback that's still learning, offensive line shuffling around and stuff like that. I still feel like, you know, he hasn't had the best hand handed to him, but and I would be down for Eric Bieniemy to still be here next year. Don't get me wrong. I still like Eric Bieniemy. I think maybe next year he'll get it together. But if I got to choose between Ben Johnson or one of these other really fine offensive-minded coordinators out there, proven coordinators, let's emphasize proven, then I'm sorry, Eric Bieniemy, you got to go. But I'm not about to blame all of this on Eric Bieniemy. Not yet. But I was expecting a way deeper bag than what I'm getting. We've had moments, we've had flashes. We haven't had entire games, which is pretty disappointing. But yeah, man, going back to Josh Harris, man, the fact that he came out with his statement 20 minutes immediately, because Ron Rivera in his statement didn't say anything about Josh Harris. He just said, I fired Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer. Josh Harris came out and was like, no. Rivera may have something a little bit to do with it, but I officially did it. I'm the one that sent them packing. That's hilarious. I mean, completely contrasting statements basically back to back is wild. That's just like, we're not on the same page here, Rivera. You just out here trying to overstep your boundaries, trying to paint the picture a certain way. Basically propaganda. Ron Rivera's trying to control the propaganda, basically. And Josh Harris like, nah, man. I'm not trying to lose fans out here and make it seem like you the one doing all the good stuff. You ain't gonna be here next year. Why you trying to take credit for stuff, dog? Let me go ahead and start winning these fans one step at a time before this 2024 season starts, so I can sell some tickets. Rivera, what are you doing right now, man? Pretty sure Josh Harris called that man up like, yo, stick to the plan. What's up with Buddy, man? But yeah, man, this does pretty much confirm that Ron Rivera will be here to the end of the year. Because again, we're gonna scapegoat Jack Del Rio. Even though a lot of it is Jack Del Rio's fault, we are about to act like, oh man, we're 4-8 because Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer, bro. It's gotta be, man. You never know. Domino effect. If they weren't here when we played the Giants, maybe we beat the Giants. You know, it's just going to be a whole bunch of what ifs and all of this stuff. Again, like I've already projected, we're not winning another game this season. I really hope y'all enjoy that Patriots dub, dog, because that's the last one you're going to see of 2023, in my opinion. Or the last one at the very least you should see. Ron Rivera, hey man, looks like he's here for the end till the end of the 2023 season. We'll see what happens after that. Doubt he stays, we'll see. I just really feel like at the end of the day, though, like for those of y'all that want Rivera gone, just like I do, just like most of us do, Josh Harris, I'm thinking he will hire a GM in the offseason, and then that GM will decide who his head coach is. Highly doubt it will be Ron Rivera, but I'm not saying it's impossible. But whatever the new GM is, like I said, we got to start with the source. I feel like Martin Mayhew deserves way more blame than he's getting. I know Ron Rivera is the face of a lot of things. I know Jack DeVille is the face of a lot of things. Eric Bieniemy is the face of a lot of things as well. A lot of it, the blame pie, the blame pie, my fault, is split all the way around. But hey, man, I feel like there's not enough hate going towards Martin Mayhew, dog. Like, I know Rivera deserves a lot of it because not only is he the head coach, so he has to deal with on-the-field stuff, coaching decisions. He's terrible in clock management, forgets he even has timeouts and stuff like that. But you also got to remember, Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew coincided with how this team was built. As far as not putting as many resources to the offensive line as they should have, and the draft picks they made and stuff like that, the draft decisions they made, all of that type of stuff. So, man, we need to focus a lot on Martin Mayhew. So Josh Harris, I'm hoping, and I think, because I've seen reports like a while ago that like he probably will just go ahead and bring in a GM. The GM will then make all the decisions for what's going on. So we're going to go back to having like a normally constructed football team, not a Ron Rivera-centered football team running the organization, just basically like a Bill Belichick where you're the head coach and the GM. Martin Mayhew's really just kind of like his right-hand man, but we're going to get to the point where the GM is literally the most in control. The head coach is just literally head coaching. I mean, he may advise certain things, but he's not like Ron. He won't be Ron Rivera where he gets the last say. I mean, even like the Emmanuel Forbes pick, like the behind the scenes, Martin Mayhew's like, man, I really like this guy. Ron Rivera's like, I really like him too. But like, it's like a wait till Ron Rivera says, yeah, let's do it. And then Martin Mayhew's like, all right, then I'll call it in. Like, yeah, like he's waiting on Ron Rivera. Like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Can I do it? Can I please do it? So that's the type of structure, power system we've had so far. It seems like we're going to more than likely just go to a normal one that most NFL teams have. The vast majority of NFL teams have. Starts with the GM. He controls all personnel decisions, all player decisions. The head coach just head coaches. The defensive coordinator does his thing on defense. The defensive coordinator does his thing on offense. We'll see how it's structured, but that's more than likely how it's going to be. But this is going to be really interesting too, because this will be Ron Rivera's first game as a defensive play caller since 2019. And it's going to be against the Miami Dolphins, the guys that set an NFL record for the most points scored in the game a few weeks ago. And again, they're below 500 team eaters. And guess what? We're below 500. Boy, Ron Rivera, your first game as a defensive coordinator again is about to look crazy on your resume. I mean, a lot of it's your fault because you did contribute a lot to what is on the field roster-wise, personnel-wise, the players you have available. But, hey, man, that's crazy to do your first defensive coordinating job since 2019. It's going to be against the Dolphins. Ooh-wee, man, they about to really be screaming for his head after that game, boy. But I really do, again, like I briefly mentioned earlier, I think a lot of this, like a lot of the reason that all of this happened, that is Josh Harris is just trying to do everything he can to retain as many fans as he possibly can through this ugly storm of a season. Like, at least somebody major getting fired gives a slice of hope that you care even just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to have seen, I know Jack DeVille and Brent Vieselmeyer getting fired doesn't really do much for you 2023, but you do kind of have to be like, man, Josh Harris is actually willing to fire people. Maybe we will not have this same coaching staff going into 2024. Hopefully 2024 will be different than what 2023 has been. So there's like a very slight slice of hope, little optimism that, man, Josh Harris may actually be willing to fire everybody who has something to deal with this terrible season. And it gives me a little bit more hope that he's potentially going to fire even Ron Rivera himself. But I think this is hilarious, though, because now Ron Rivera can no longer have his arms crossed chilling on the sidelines. Here's your iPad, sir. Here's your Surface Pro, sir. Get to work. I think that's hilarious, man. Ron Rivera is going to be over there stressing. I don't know who's going to control the timeouts now. He couldn't do it even not being a defensive coordinator. Now you add defensive coordinator, defensive play calling to his list of duties. We're never calling a timeout. We're never calling a challenge flag when we're supposed to. But yeah, now before we even dive into Jack DeVille, I really wish we did everything we could to retain Chris Harris. I'm truly amazed because he would be ready to step up as our starting defensive coordinator right now with the situation. If Chris Harris were here, Jack DeVille probably would have been fired a while ago, and we would have just given the keys to Chris Harris way sooner, like weeks ago, games ago. And I just don't understand because it's not even like he went somewhere else. I think he ended up going to the Titans for like almost a lateral move, maybe a very slight promotion, but it's not like he left to go become a defensive coordinator like a lot of people think he would or even should have. I think he has defensive coordinator potential. I think he, I mean, we got to see, but I really felt like we let like the next Sean McVay, the next Kyle Shanahan, the next Matt LaFleur, the next Kevin O'Connell go again, but on the defensive side this time. We love to let great offensive Mike McDaniels as our receivers coach. Like that, that 2013 coaching staff needs to be studied, dog, and how we just fumbled that bag. But, all of those guys have been offensive. But now I think we probably did the defensive version in Chris Harris. We'll see. Again, to lose him and he didn't even get like a big promotion like if people expected. It's like, well, what did you even lose him for? I mean, was it just money? Were you just not willing to pay him money? Sadly, he was gone before I think even Josh Harris got here. So that sucks. So I'm still confused because Chris Harris gone and bringing Brent Vieselmeyer in. I mean, I feel like it's just really hard to find a great DBs coach in general. That's just not something easy to find. They don't grow on trees. So going from Chris Harris to anybody else probably would have been a slight downgrade just by default. But this was an enormous downgrade because it looked like our secondary was finally starting to catch stride last year. Like, okay, you add Emmanuel Forbes to this, we're going to be cooking. But it hasn't worked out that way. And Darrell Green, I mentioned this weeks ago. Darrell Green literally called out the coaching staff, most notably the DB's coach. He didn't say names, but he literally said when it came to Emmanuel Forbes playing terribly to start the season, stuff like that, after he got benched and all of that, Darrell Green literally blamed it on coaching. Like, literally was like, he's not getting the instructions he needs, the coaching he needs. I can come in there and do a better job. Literally. So that was one huge public indictment and in a strong word against Brent Vieselmeyer, like by Darrell Green, burgundy and gold legend that we all love. I'm very surprised that didn't go more viral amongst the burgundy and gold nation. Like, wait a minute, maybe it's not Forbes' fault. Maybe it is Brent Vieselmeyer. I'm surprised I haven't heard his name mentioned more often, especially after that. But even just statistically, man, I mean, going from Chris Harris, because I mean, hey, if you're trying to do the scientific method, the constants are Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio's been the same. He's still here from last year to this year. Probably the biggest difference you could argue is going from Chris Harris to Brent Vieselmeyer. And now we're 32nd in points per game allowed with 29.2, 30th in passing yards allowed per game with 264.6, and 32nd in passing touchdowns allowed in general. I mean, like, come on, dog. Like, to make it even worse, like, when you check up on Buddy history, when you check the Carfax, my boy, somebody boy out there, DB's coach, Brent Vieselmeyer, has been a high school coach and a low-level college assistant other than the 2 times he's worked in the NFL under Jack Del Rio himself. Jack Del Rio is the only guy willing to give this guy a job. So that's probably one of the main reasons they fired Jack Del Rio. Like, everybody was like, wait a minute. This Brent Vieselmeyer guy is terrible. Who recommended him? Whose man's is this? And then they was like, wait a minute, Jack Del Rio, this is your guy. This is your man. Like, you grew up with him. Like, come on, like, and so everybody looked around and was like, wait a minute. Maybe Brent Vieselmeyer is the biggest part of this, but all for the fact that you recommended him, you gotta go too. There's several reasons why probably Jack Del Rio got fired. First of all, the on the field product, the lack of hope moving forward, again, to maybe hopefully re-engage some of the fans, to win some of the fans back, but also probably because, like, hey man, who let this terrible DB's coach in our building without us noticing? Again, Ron Rivera took a whole hands-off approach this offseason. He's literally had less and less power every season this past. Because when he first got here, he was the GM. He was all of that. He was everything, controlling the entire defense. Him and Jack Del Rio basically like coexisted amongst each other. Then eventually he was like, man, we gotta hire Chris Polian, Marty Herney, and Martin Mayhew to take over some of these GM things, these team building things on that side. And then this season he said, Eric Bieniemy, you completely have the offense. I don't want nothing to deal with it. Jack Del Rio, you completely have the defense. I don't want nothing to do with it. So Ron Rivera wiped his hands clean of any blame when that comes. I mean, you the one that hired Jack Del Rio that allowed all that to happen. But at the end of the day, Jack Del Rio directly hired Brent Vieselmeyer, and the reason you know why, because again, this guy hasn't coached anywhere but high school or low level college other than working under Jack Del Rio. He was a defensive coordinator at a high school from 1999 to 2006. Then he was the head coach at a high school till 2012. Then he was a co-defensive coordinator at Houston Baptist for a year. Then he was the Raiders assistant linebackers coach with Jack Del Rio for 2 years. Then he was a safeties coach with Jack Del Rio for 1 year. Then he was an offensive analyst in Kansas City. At Kansas. Kansas. And then he was the head coach of a high school. So he went from high school, I think low-level college, maybe high school, Houston. I don't know what Houston Baptist is. I ain't gonna lie. So assistant linebackers coach, NFL, safeties coach, NFL, then back to college, and then got demoted from college back to high school, and then going from that step-by-step demotion. Like, wait a minute, why are you in the NFL? Wait a minute, why are you coaching in college all the way back down to high school? He went straight from that to assistant defensive backs and nickels coach under Jack Del Rio, brought him up here to be under Chris Harris. Apparently, I guess they never made physical contact because none of Chris Harris's genius or any ideas, whatever was working, rubbed off on him. And then after Chris Harris left, he inevitably became our defensive backs coach and got that promotion. So yeah, Jack Del Rio, we followed the stench, and it's definitely coming from you. Everywhere this guy has been NFL level wise, it's been because you've been there. We see it. I know he was on the Raiders. You were on the Raiders when he was on the Raiders. You did that, boy. Wrong with you, man. But this is really interesting though, because it definitely sounds like we're on our way to a top 5 pick, and I'm pretty excited about that, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm pretty loud. We may even have a top 5 pick already by the time the Sundays and Monday games end. Because I mean, after losing to the Cowboys, it's not looking too pretty for us, man. I'm not gonna lie. 4-8. That potential draft pick is probably already. Again, we gotta wait. We gotta wait until the end of Sunday and Monday, all of those games to happen, to truly see what happens. But right now, we still have the 7th pick. The Titans, if they win, we probably move up ahead of them. You never know with the Giants. If they win, they could potentially be 4-8. The Bears, if they win, they could potentially be 4-8. If all of those teams win, we got to start rooting for the Bears, the Giants, and the Titans to start winning games. And we got to continue to root for the Falcons, Buccaneers, Jets, Chargers, Rams, all of those teams that have 4 wins just like us. We got to root for all of them to start winning games so we can move up, man. And if all of that happens this weekend, we could potentially literally have the 4th pick in the draft. But again, I don't even think we necessarily have to tank. I know us as fans would prefer to go ahead and get a higher draft pick, but it's not like we need Ron Rivera to go out there and do his best to lose, because his best to win has been losing us games, right? So we're not tanking. We're just literally that bad, dog. We really are. So keeping Ron Rivera in as our head coach and also giving him defensive coordinator duties probably literally just wrapped up the top 5 pick. Honestly, now thinking about it, I really like this move. Now top 5 pick, here we come for show. Ron Rivera calling plays. He got to uncross his arms for once. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Oh boy. Also, man, the Commanders giving up the most points per game, 30th in yards per play and 31st against the pass is just ridiculous. So Jack Del Rio, you deserve a lot of blame for that. Also, we have allowed a league high 49 pass plays of 20 yards or more. We haven't intercepted a pass in 6 games, and we haven't caused a turnover at all in the past 3. That's really bad, y'all. That's very, very bad, Jack Del Rio. Very, very bad. I mean, I know losing to the Giants and the Bears were probably the most embarrassing losses, but not only did we lose to the Cowboys on national television at Thanksgiving, I think the national television part had a lot to do with this as well. This was just a 1 p.m. game. Maybe Jack Del Rio isn't fired. But national television, for everybody to see everybody laughing at Josh Harris, most notably Jerry Jones, they eating turkey on the sideline mid-game. They knew they were going to win this game. They were so sure about how they would win this game. They had turkey on the sideline to celebrate with, to eat after they got a touchdown. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, man, the Giants and Bears games were probably the lowest of lows, but that Cowboys game was another very serious low. And again, with it being on national television, Josh Harris did not spend $6 billion to watch his team get embarrassed like that in front of everybody. 45-10, Everybody saw that, man. Even people that don't really care about football watch that. Like, I don't know, the Commanders, what is that? The Washington, like the state of Washington? Why are they I mean, I don't know football, but I know math. 45-10 can't be right now. Like, that's a butt whooping, right? So even the most casual of casual people are looking at us like, man, that team sucks. I know Josh Harris was embarrassed. This may just been out of pure emotions, like somebody got to go. After the way we got embarrassed, and again, I don't know how he didn't foresee that. Like I've already explained, I foresaw that butt whooping being just like that. I thought it might even be a little bit worse. I was surprised it was 20-10 at halftime. It actually felt like we had a game for a second. But going back to Jack Del Rio, it's also the inconsistencies too, man. In 2020, the Commanders finished 4th in points allowed and 2nd in yards allowed. But then the next season ranked 25th in points and 22nd in yards. And then the next season was really good. Right back to being elite top 5 in a lot of categories. And then this year, you see what's happening. Come on, like dead last in certain stats. At best, one of the worst 3 teams in a lot of stats. To put it in perspective, 2020 4th in DVOA, defensive ranking, whatever you want to call it. 2021, 27th. 2022, 7th. 2023, 32nd. The up and down is ridiculous. From 4 to 27 to 7th to 32nd. Like, and if anything, the progress is worse, man. Like, our 2023 season is worse than our bad season in 2021, and our 2022 season was worse than our other good season in 2020. Like, if anything, it's the same pattern but getting worse. That's not good at all. So again, I mean, I'm glad we fired Jack Del Rio. I want everybody gone in general, but I really hope people do not think that this is going to change anything for the remainder of this season. We already went through that schedule, man. Dolphins, 49ers, Cowboys again, Jets with Aaron Rodgers, Rams with Matthew Stafford. I hope y'all don't think that firing Jack Del Rio is going to produce results this season. I really hope y'all don't expect that, man. Really don't. Also, I know a lot of people want to say, well, that's what happens when you trade away Montez Sweat and Chase Young. And granted, we have taken a slight step back since we traded those players away, but it's not like we just cut them or let them walk for free. We did it to get draft assets in return, and not only just draft assets to get great players, but also to potentially attract a great GM and head coach that will come here and be like, man, I have all of these picks to work with. I have, you know, you cut Charles Leno, you have like over $100 million in cap space to work with. And then potentially a franchise quarterback in Sam Howell that's shown, you know, in flashes. He hasn't had a lot of great games overall, but he's shown the traits and flashes to be a franchise quarterback, in my opinion, with the right system around him, the right players around him. And so I think, if anything, trading away Montez Sweat and Chase Young made this team more attractive to a potential great GM, a good one, and a good head coach, defensive coordinator, all of that type of stuff. But yeah, I don't want a lot of people acting like, oh yeah, since we traded away Montez Sweat and Chase Young, our defense has become the league worse, like it wasn't already. The Commanders were 29th in defense at the time of those trades, and they were 29th against the pass specifically. And they had a 9-sack game after trading those guys. We were 1 away from tying a franchise record after. I mean, granted, it was against the Giants, but Montez Sweat and Chase Young played against the Giants as well the first game. It's not, I mean, like, I miss them. We're definitely worse without them. I'm not trying to say nothing, but don't act like trading them away is why this defense suddenly became terrible. They didn't have that big of an impact. This defense was bad with them. Even with Chase Young top 10 in pass rush win rate, like a lot of advanced stats said that Chase Young was a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL this season. It was like actually wild that now we chose to trade him. I mean, after you traded away Montez Sweat, I can see that. Get that high 2nd round pick from the Bears. After that, I would have kept Chase Young, because his value as a player, I would have re-signed him long term, is far more valuable than that really late 3rd round pick we got in return, dog. I still don't like that move. Still don't understand that one. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next. That's the subscription button so you get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Just like I said yesterday before the Cowboys game, with the video revealing that Ron Rivera will more than likely not be fired mid-season. And maybe not even at the end of the season. We'll see how that goes. I hope he is. We'll see. I'm gonna do my best to try to be in the comment section and read and reply to as many comments as I can, but I'm very busy. I mean, literally after I'm done recording, editing this, and uploading this, I'm already immediately working on my next video, because again, I gotta watch that game again so I can truly know what was going on in that game and present to y'all a lot of crazy advanced stats and do my breakdowns of each position group. So make sure y'all just stay patient, stay tuned. Again, like I've already explained before the intro video, all the content I'm working on, daily uploads, and YouTube is no longer tripping. So if you want to support the channel, we have so many ways to do it. You can become a channel member, you can donate in the super chat like we normally could, but if you want to also contribute to the Cash App, I would love to take that as well too. Really appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate everybody that held the channel down while YouTube is tripping. And yeah, man, I'm gonna catch y'all later. Catch y'all with another video, maybe even later on today, this evening or something. We'll see. Catch y'all later. I'm out.